Welcome to Selfish Confidence, a place where we can connect and be real about how hard it is to be your damn self. My name is Jess, and my goal is to help you build confidence and belief in yourself to live any life path you want, even if it's unconventional. It's time to flip off societal pressures and connect with women who've also felt on the outside by their life choices. We're here to encourage you to grab the mic and speak your truth. I know it can be scary, but we're in this together. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome to this very special behind-the-scenes episode of the recent Selfish Confidence Retreat. I know I have been promising you a live episode for the last couple of days, but coming off the retreat and then hopping right into my birthday was actually a lot harder than I anticipated, only because it's just a lot of peopling and a lot of stuff. And for the introvert that I am, and for the person who needs a lot of rest that I am, I was feeling really freaking tired. And normally I would hide that and be like, no, I'm high energy all the time. Like, you don't need to know. I am not. I am a person who needs a lot of rest to make this business work and to make this podcast run. And I decided to prioritize that and to lean into myself and give myself the gift of really rejuvenating who I am and how I wanted to come on and sit on the mic before just sitting down and be like, okay, well, I told them I was going to do this, so I'm going to do it. And that's just not how I work anymore. And I say anymore because I did that for a really long time. I didn't want you to know how slow I am, and I didn't want you to know how much rest I needed. But it's so important for you to know that, because if you're someone who also needs a lot of rest and you look at the business that I have and what I'm doing and you're just like, wait, she doesn't rest, she doesn't slow down, she's blah, 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 right? No, I'm telling you the real behind the scenes stuff. And I'm going to keep this short and sweet because I know we're all busy and we all have a lot of time. And it's kind of an awkward time to be dropping an episode on a Wednesday where I normally do it on Mondays and Thursdays. But I really wanted to sit down and talk to you, and not only for you, but for myself, to process some of the things that happened in last week's confidence retreat. I love being able to be real with you too, to be able to share the behind the scenes, to be able to share how I'm feeling and what's going on through my head before, during, and after the retreat, because there's something really special about being able to share everything. And I don't always get to do that. I try to hide any discomfort that I have, any emotion or feelings that I have. And after the conversations that I've had this week, both with one-on-one clients and people at the retreats, these emotions and these feelings are really important for all of us to express. But I know if I share them and I try to figure out and navigate them, you're going to do the same, because that's just how we roll. We really are in this together. And I am going to lean into all the emotions and share absolutely everything with you today. And maybe you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, what is this confidence retreat? What's going on? I do these biannual confidence retreats. So this would have been my second one, typically in the fall and in the spring. And it's a place where you can come and be yourself and learn more about yourself in a way that you don't always get to do in your day-to-day life. And I'm going to tell you this, I love bringing you along for the ride. I love you knowing all aspects, the good and the hard and everything in between, but it's really uncomfortable for me to share everything with you. And I know it's because in society, we're told to only share the good parts. And I believe that that is not true, that we need to be sharing all parts of our lives. And that's how we connect and can be real with other people. That being said, I'm going to share with you some of the doubts and some of the areas of this retreat where I don't have confidence. And a big one for me is in the prep. Before the event even starts, I overthink every single detail. And of course, there's some areas that I have to. Like, I want to overthink the details when it comes to allergies, and I want to overthink the details when it comes to preferences on sleeping and food and all of those things. But I overthink everything so much that I had to be taking like extra sleeping supplements to help me sleep going into the retreat, which for me, as you know, like I said earlier, it's so important for me to get extra rest. I'm a projector when it comes to human design, and just even learning more about myself. Glenn knows this. Glenn's my husband, that if he lets me sleep in, it's going to be a much better day than forcing me to wake up and getting into the day at an earlier time. I like it slow. I like to really prioritize my rest. And I overthink so much going into these retreats that it really throws a wrench into just like every area of my life, into my physical health, into my sleeping, into my mental health, and all of these things. And I do not suggest doing that. Every retreat that I do, I can say I walked into this one feeling more confident than the last one, 100%, but that doesn't mean that I overthink the details any less. And I know it comes from having anxiety and wanting everything to be so perfect, but it's not. It's not going to be. There's no aspect of an event that's going to be 100% perfect. We know that. So for going forward, for sure, I can say right now, I'm going to overthink less, but I'll let you know when we get closer to the next one, which is coming up in the fall. But that was a big piece that I noticed. It just really creates a lot of stress in all areas of my life to be overthinking these tiny details. The big details come really easy to me, like what we're going to learn and who we're going to have there and what's going to be happening. It's the little details that will keep me up at night. So I'm working on that. That is a big one. And that's kind of like the big piece that I've learned going into every event in that pre-season. But in the during season, it's all autopilot. I have overthought every detail so much that it's so easy for me to walk into it with ease and to really go on autopilot. If you were to come into the kitchen or into a session and be like, "Hey, Jess, how can I help you?" And I'd be like, "I have no idea. I already planned out everything in my head. I don't know how to delegate anything." And as much as I wish I had someone to run these events with, I'm not 100% sure I would know how because I'm so used to doing it all on my own. And I don't say that as a brag or anything like that. I actually don't think it's a brag. I would love to be able to have the support on this. But this retreat in particular, I made sure to prioritize having help in different areas and in different ways. So even if it's as simple as, having Glenn come and pack things up with me and take things out, that was really helpful. I invited a friend to come and help me prep for dinner, knowing that I was going to be really busy during the day, and having someone there, even just for dinner and for the evening, was so helpful. So if you are thinking about doing any kind of event, find ways that people can support you and lean on that. Don't go into autopilot mode. Don't go into, I have to do it all. I am the only one who can do it right. I feel like that was the case for the last retreat because I thought that was the norm and that was the reality. It's not. Ask for help. That's a big takeaway that I've had since planning events and doing things like this. Having support, even if it's just from your partner, is number one when it comes to creating an event that doesn't consume your whole life. And don't get me wrong, for the 3 days that we're away, 100% the retreat consumes my life, duh. But going into it, the before and even in the after, it's really important that you find ways that it is just a piece of the whole puzzle. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's get into some of the real behind the scenes. If you were like, "Oh, I want to know it all. Give me every detail." I probably won't be able to remember every single detail because it is a really busy, jam-packed weekend, but I can definitely give you a little idea on every day that we had. So Friday night is when it started, and here we are. It's in just outside of Halifax, Nova Scotia. And on Friday night, people came in between like 6 and 7, and during that time, we had some snacks and we got to get to know each other. And you know what? It was beautiful to watch the introductions of these 10 women together, to see them just like share a little bit more about themselves and really take the time to share. We also did a Q&A with every single person. So you could do your introduction, and if you were kind of uncomfortable with it, which I would be 100%, all these things make me uncomfortable, sharing who you are and then allowing people to ask questions. So for me, I knew most people and I knew what questions to ask. For others, it was kind of just like, okay, well, like, what's your favorite color? Or, tell us about, the work that you do or this or that. And we could really open up through these questions because when someone asks me a question, it's often a lot easier than me sitting there and being like, I'm Jess and I have 2 cats and a dog and I've been married for 8 years and I really like tacos. Like, it can be so much more than that. And you actually get to the points that people really want to hear and know by allowing them to ask the questions that they want to know more about. Like, what's your favorite craft to do? And, How is the Airbnbs that you host? Like, what's your favorite thing about that? And tell us what you love about being a mom. And there were so many different questions that we could ask in that moment. And it made the introductions go so much longer than I ever intended them to. And that's the beautiful thing. I made sure that this weekend was relaxed, that there was never like okay, that's enough. You're done talking. Next person. I wanted everyone to have the time to be able to share and be open and not feel rushed, and that they could be themselves in every way possible. And that was so important to me. And so Friday night was all about creating those connections and pairing up and having, time with even just one person to really connect with and know that it was safe to be yourself with them. And even as I think about it now, I'm like, that was a lot to throw people into on a Friday after, for some people, a long day with the kids, a long day at the office, you're exhausted already. And I totally get it. It was a lot for a Friday night to really walk into that, but it was so important to me that there was connection and safety in the first few hours. And I really think that opened things up for the whole weekend so that people could feel like they could do whatever they want. It was really important to me too that people could either participate or not participate. If you wanted to take a break, take a freaking break. Like, go take a nap. This is your weekend, and it didn't have to be, you have to do everything. And with that, I think from the first night, knowing that it was safe to be able to do that, people could make that decision with whatever aspect of the retreat was too much, or at any moment they needed to stop and take a little breather. You could do that, and it would be judgment free. And so Saturday was filled with some confidence boosting in the morning and really figuring out what it is that you want. We walked into the afternoon with confidence photo shoots where you were picking an outfit that felt really freaking good for you and getting shots that felt really good for you. So watching the difference between the last retreat's confidence photo shoots and this one, the confidence in Kate, our photographer, but also in the people who were there. And I think it came from having more time at the retreat before the photos even started. So last time, one of the first things we did was the confidence photo shoots. And this time it was after being there for a whole night and even a morning before they started. And Kate even mentioned it too. She's like, there is a difference in how people are feeling in front of the camera. And of course, we're all awkward. I don't know about you, but getting in front of the camera is never easy for me. And I've been working with Kate for over a year now. And watching her make these women feel more comfortable in the space and allowing them to be able to speak up for what it was that they wanted, what they were using these photos for, because everyone had a different thing. It could be social media, it could be dating profiles, it could be anything that you want to use these for, just to put it in your pocket or just to have. So seeing people speak up for what they wanted in their photos was really, really cool to see. And it was also really fun because I got to get a photo with everyone, and it was really special to connect, even if it was just for a few minutes, just the two of us. It was nice to have that moment with each person at the retreat. And so after the photo shoot, we went into this big Mexican fiesta dinner, and in the evening we had a sound bath. And in that sound bath, it was like, I'm at a loss for words on how special this sound bath was. I have been to sound baths before, and all hosted by the same person who hosted them for this retreat. So Jen Langell at Primal Relaxation. And this was just different because it was curated for our community. And interestingly enough, there were certain chakra crystal bowls who were going louder and harder than some of the others. And in that moment, I was like, wow, the work that we're doing is happening. Like, it is, like, you can hear it. And that was really interesting for me, like the grounding that we did and the relaxation that we did in that time. And again, keeping it as simple and as relaxed as possible for these people who often come from busy backgrounds. And for some people, it was itchy to have that much relaxation time, and it was uncomfortable to be able to just like have free time because they're not used to it. And for others, they were a natural and a pro at relaxing and doing their own thing. And so this sound bath really opened up for some of the girls to just relax more, and for others to feel the feelings. Like, I had some emotional releases in that time, and even just being in the room with these incredible women, the impact that a simple sound bath can have was really nice. It just like really tied together everything that I wanted the ladies to feel in coming for a weekend like this. And so we wrapped up the night with ice cream sundaes, because how else do you finish a sound bath if not with like an abundance of deliciousness in a bowl? But Sunday morning we woke up and it was really slow. Sunday morning was actually slower than I anticipated. I was up early to get breakfast ready to work on the compliment cards. So we had, compliments for everyone. That was really important for me to be able to highlight their growth through compliments. And also, like, even I learned how to make coffee this weekend, which I know you, as soon as I said that, you probably were like, wait, what? But in a percolator, normally we just make 1 cup at a time. And so we have an AeroPress, we make 1 cup, we know how to make a French press, but like we never have had a percolator. And so I learned how to make coffee. So I got up early to make sure that the coffee was on and that everything was ready. But the ladies, they were taking their time on Sunday morning. Everyone was feeling really relaxed. And that was beautiful to watch. There's nothing more rewarding for me than like sitting, waiting for everyone to get up at their own time, without an alarm, on their own, at their own pace, whatever felt good for them. And for some people, I told them breakfast would be between like 7:30 and 9. And for some people, that's coming down at 7:30. And for others, it's like 8:45, right? It's about doing you. And I loved watching that in the mornings. And so we wrapped up Sunday with a beautiful breakfast together, some meditation, some journaling practices, and the compliments. So a big piece of it was I really wanted people to be able to connect faces with the paper when it came to compliments. And I know you're like, what are you talking about? And honestly, I feel like it's one of those things like you had to be there to really understand what I mean when I say the compliments. But there's just something really special about other people seeing you, and you don't even realize how the world sees you. And then you walk out of this retreat with a ton of compliments on how people see you. And you're just like, like it's just a gift to really be able to be seen and to be yourself. And that was a big thing for a lot of people, was a space where they could be themselves. You didn't have to hide. You didn't have to worry about, am I talking too much, or am I doing too much, or am I too much? It can't be too much for this space. And I think that's the coolest thing. And with the 10 women who were there, it was the perfect complement of community. Everyone had something to bring to the table. Everyone had something to share. And each background was so different, for some being entrepreneurs, some being architects, some being, teachers, and all of these things. There were so many different backgrounds, but they came together so beautifully. And it was so much fun to watch them connect. And one of my favorite memories was being upstairs. And I was like, I told you, I was on autopilot. There was so much going on. I didn't even have time to shower, okay? And don't judge me on that. I just didn't have time. I was so busy. And if I wanted to shower, I really wanted to spend more time with people than I cared to shower. So don't judge me on that. But I ran upstairs because I was stinky and I needed a few minutes. And so I literally soaped my pits up and washed my face with a bar of soap, because that's all I had time to do before I put new deodorant on, clean clothes. Anyways, TMI. But in that moment when I was upstairs washing my pits, I could hear the laughter downstairs. And it was one of those moments of just like, wow, to hear the joy and the happiness and the love in this house was so cool. Just to hear like the laughter and the conversations in other rooms, like if I was cooking lunch and getting things prepped, hearing the conversations and little pieces of conversations was really fun for me. And for some people, they might be like, wait, like you're on the outside. Like that's awkward. It wasn't. It was beautiful to be like a watcher of some of these things and some of these moments that people were having together. And of course, there were great moments that I got to be a part of too. But there was something really cool about stepping back and letting it flow and just like enjoying the view. And with that, I wanted to share just a couple things that I learned this weekend myself in hosting events, and things that I'll be taking into the next retreat, which is coming up October 20th to the 22nd in Chester, Nova Scotia. I have a spot picked out. It'll be on the website really soon, but I wanted past guests and the sisters. So anyone in the Selfish Sister have first dibs. So in a couple days, that will be out for you to be able to check out too. But the number one thing that I learned was how important it was for me to have really good boundaries and rest before the retreat. So like key for me to walk into this retreat with so much energy to be able to go and go as hard as I did was just like the week or even like 2 weeks before, prioritizing my rest and my energy and making sure that I set my intentions. The same way that I made all the girls set their intentions when they came into the retreat, I need to set mine. And really focusing for me, it was on transformation, both for them and for me. And I needed that extra time of rest and to not feel guilty about it. If you're a person who struggles to rest and to slow down, especially in a busy season when you're planning a big event like this, prioritize it. Like really sit. If your intention is to have impact, we often need rest and we often need to slow down. And maybe that's not for everyone, but it is for me. And so if you struggle with that, here's your permission slip to take the rest and to do the things, because oftentimes, and for me especially, the rest is where the growth comes from. And I've actually had a lot of clients this week telling me about how they're doing their nothing pockets. And that's when ideas are coming to them. When you're finally slowing down and you're stopping, that's where the growth comes. And society tells us otherwise, and that's not the case. So that's my number one takeaway when it comes to creating events like this. The second one is to be you. And I learned this a lot after the first retreat because I tend to try to do what everyone else is doing, right? We all do. We see what so-and-so did at their retreat or so-and-so is doing at, online and their virtual workshops and all these things. And we get these ideas and they all look really cool. Like everything super cool. I love what all these people are doing, but it's not me. It's not how I do it. And if I can wholeheartedly be myself and walk into this event in how I would want to do it, it is going to be way more of a success than trying to do it how Susie does it and trying to do it how Marla does it and trying to do it how, Bridget does it and whoever these people are. I don't know. I just made them up. But really being you in every event, in every course that you create is so important. And I learned that a lot in the first retreat, but I implemented it a lot more in this retreat because it was so important to me to be myself. Because if I'm not going to feel comfortable to share. And I actually feel like there's areas that I could have even been myself more and stood in my power more, but it just was really flowy and really nice. And with that, I remembered how important it was to walk the walk, right? We can teach people all of these things, but if I'm not doing the work and I'm not showing up for myself, it's not going to go in the direction that I had hoped. So really leaning into what you need to do for yourself before walking into these events and be yourself 100%. And the last thing that I learned, big time learned, and if someone who went to the retreat is listening to this, they'll probably laugh too. You have enough food. Okay? This is what I'm going to need to listen to next time for the next retreat because I overthink, overpack over everything when it comes to these retreats because I really don't want to show up and there not be enough food. That would probably be the worst thing for me, but I get way too much. I also don't have a good understanding on how to cook for 12 people because, well, I never do it. Right? Like it's just Glenn and I. So I often really don't even know what food for a family looks like, let alone 12 people. So I definitely got way too much, but that's okay. I'd rather have too much than too little. And we weren't hungry, that's for sure. So that is a win in my books. But future Jess needs to know you have enough food. It's going to be okay. Nobody is going to starve. You are good to go. Don't you worry, girl. Don't you worry. Food is always my top on my list for everything. And especially with these events, like I want good food and I want there to be enough good food. And I want everyone to feel like there's something for them regardless of their allergies. So I feel like that's the one that I definitely overdo it on. But you know what? There could be worse things, right? There could be worse things. And that's a little behind the scenes on the retreat that I wanted to share with you. And if you're sitting here and you're just like, you know what, like that sounds really nice. And it was, I know, very vague. You can't fit like 36 hours or even 40, a lot of time. Okay. We were gone for 3 days. You can't fit 3 days of stuff into a 25-minute episode without it being a little bit vague. So if you want to know for yourself and you're just like, yeah, I want to be there. I want to feel the energy that you're feeling and I want to try all this delicious food that you have, send me a message. I can send you the link. It'll probably be going out to the email list on Friday morning with the link to get your space. And there's only 6 to 8 spots, depending on how beds are divided up. It's really going to be a small retreat. And I like it like that. I learned with this one too, 10 is my max. Like that is a max number for me with how many people, because I want to be able to spend one-on-one time with you. And I can't do that. If I fill the space up with like 20 people, that's just impossible for me. So I want it to be intimate and special. And again, it's going to be in Nova Scotia on October 20th to 22nd. So you can put that in your calendar, but all the details will be coming out on Friday for you to be able to check out. And unless you're in the sisterhood, which the details are out now. If you're in the Selfish Sisterhood, you can go snag your spot and check out everything that's coming up for that event and how it's going to be different than this one, because we're going to be focusing on some different things. So thank you for being a part of this behind the scenes. And if you have questions, if there's something specific that you're like, wait, I was hoping you were going to talk about that, send me a DM, connect with me, because I am an open book when it comes to these. And especially if you're someone who wants to host retreats of your own, I am happy to share with you what I've learned. I've been working with some other friends too who are starting to host retreats, and I want you to feel confident walking into your retreat too. So you can either work with me one-on-one, or you can ask even just some personal questions, whatever it is, how I can support you and love you through your growth and journey. Connect with me, send me a message, because I'm happy to help in any way that I can. I hope you are having a wonderful day, and I will talk to you soon.
What's up, sis? I am so glad we could hang out today. If you love this episode, send it to a friend or share it on your social media and tag me so I can personally thank you for helping me sprinkle some confidence in the world. And don't forget, you are magic. Let's show the world your shine.